God bless you, sir. You're a gentleman. A very perfect gentle knight. Deftly yours, sir. Here I sit, your slave, poor, infirm, weak and despised. Blessed are the...
You were to have supper at my club.
Yes. He did mention it to me this morning. It was just before the lady called.
Lady? Which lady?
When I must answer the door.
Of course.
Might be a clue.
I hope I'm not being a nuisance.
Oh, he won't mind, I'm sure. He's the kindest of...
Prize.
Not a pleasant one, I fear, John.
Thank you, Mrs. Hudson. Perhaps some... Well, if Isa is ill, I can visit him at home.
He is not at home.
He, too, has disappeared without trace.
You can probably guess what he's doing.
I imagine he's...
Pale and shattered.
And this time?
I have not...
Your tea, Doctor.
I sometimes wonder...
No, thank you. I've not come here to stay. There's a friend of mine here. I just wish to speak to Mr. Isa Whitney. Friday the 19th.
I thought it was Wednesday. It is Wednesday. You're trying to frighten me.
Your wife has been waiting for you to return home for 2 days.
2 days, surely not. A few hours, perhaps. 3 pipes, 4 pipes. I forget.
I've got a cab outside. You're going home now. I value my friendship. Wife's love.
Okay.
Come on.
I have to pay. Hire the manager Monday.
Let go. Take your hands off. Holmes. What on earth are you doing in this den?
I can't think about my business. You have a cab outside.
Yes.
Give this to the lady of the house.
Holmes.
The little weaknesses.
I merely said I was surprised to see you there.
As indeed I was to see you. Are you coming?
Of course. I am going to leave Kent in the middle of the night on a Friday in March.
Because you are my £20 to his credit in the Capital and Counties Bank. Therefore, there is no reason to think that money troubles have been weighing you down.
A veritable paragon. I expect Mrs. Sinclair came to you saying that her husband had disappeared.
Exactly.
Well, it seems to be a continuous thread. Please do.
On Monday, Sinclair left for the city as usual. Before he left, he promised that he would bring home a box of building bricks for his children.
Building bricks.
Mark that well, Watson.
Where are you going?
I'm going upstairs.
There's nobody upstairs.
I saw my husband waving from an upstairs window.
There's nobody upstairs.
I saw him. I know my own husband. What's he doing here?
There is nobody upstairs.
Oh! Neville!
They threw her out.
They did.
Blackguards.
The man.
Mr. Holmes. Any news?
Mrs. Sinclair, I thought you'd be asleep.
Sleep does not come easily at a time like this.
This is...
Frankly now, I'm not hysterical, nor am I given to fainting.
Frankly, then, I do not.
You think he is dead?
I do.
Murdered?
I don't see that. Perhaps. Mrs. Sinclair, I wonder if you would do me a favor.
By all means.
I have told Dr. Watson what happened. I, too, have to re-examine the facts as we know them. Now, if you're not too tired.
Of course. As you may imagine, I do not take kindly to being forcibly removed from a building. I sought and found police help.
2 constables and Inspector
Bradstreet.
Bradstreet.
Turned, the door was unbolted. Though I'm sure the Lascar had bolted it when I left it. He was in this room.
Time and again, I tell you, there's nobody here.
May we look into that room?
You mustn't be worried by this gentleman, Mrs. Sinclair. He is an old friend of the constabulary.
You know, Inspector, according...
Does this man lodge here?
Yes?
You told me nobody lived here.
Madam, a beggar is nobody.
If you're fricas, do we not bleed?
Shakespeare, Mr. Boone. I know that one. You've told it to me before.
And a large window.
Mrs. Sinclair, a window and a river in close proximity does not automatically mean violent death. You've been here in the past hour?
Yes.
Anyone else been here?
Alas, no, I've been as lonely as a cloud.
Tennyson.
Wordsworth, Inspector.
Building bricks, Inspector.
So I see.
My husband left for the city this... And these are... At that moment, Inspector Bradstreet began to believe my story. Until low tide.
Weighted down with something.
70 halfpennies stuffed into every pocket of the overcoat. Your conclusion, Watson. Arrested Boone is presently in Bow Street Police Station.
Even though my husband is still alive. By all means.
Dearest, do not be frightened. There is a huge watermark posted in Gravesend by a man with a dirty thumb. This is not your husband's writing. Envelope had on the sign very much in error. Been chewing tobacco. It is a trifle, of course. Mrs. Sinclair, there was an enclosure. Mrs. Sinclair, has your husband ever spoken of the bar of gold in Upper Swandam Lane?
Never.
I suspect that Dr. Watson has a question to put to you.
But, has your husband ever shown any signs of taking opium? An inability to concentrate, a general air of apathy.
Dr. Watson is a specialist in uncontrolled addiction.
Mr. Holmes, I know you think my husband is dead. I fully realize that letter could have been written on Monday and only posted today. I know the circumstances as they have been described lead to the inescapable conclusion that he has been murdered. But equally, I know that he is alive. There is such a keen bond of sympathy between us. I should know if evil came upon him.
Except what?
You say he's a cripple.
Yes.
How severe is his disability?
He's well known in the city. He's well liked in the city. I've seen him many times. He has a remarkable faculty for repartee with which he delights his many clients.
Well, he sounds harmless. Why, therefore, did the police arrest him rather than the Lascar?
That is the very question that I put to Inspector Bradstreet.
No, I'm innocent, you tell him I'm innocent, no!
Murder has obviously been committed by process of elimination. Boone must be the murderer. His window, apparently in the middle of a struggle. She went to a downstairs door and was confronted by the Lascar.
A 21st birthday present. A man of meticulous habits, no scratches. What was the motive in killing Sinclair? Sinclair. He removes the outer garments, hoping to capitalize on them and their contents. It through the open window, hence the abrasion. Blood upon the windowsill. He releases it away in. There's not a moment to be lost.
Must dispose of the clothing.
He starts with the overcoat. He realizes at once it will float and not sink. So what does he do? He rushes across the room to some secret hoard where he's accumulated the fruits of his beggary, stuffs all the coins that he can lay his hands on into the pockets of the overcoat,
And drops it into the water.
and would presumably have done the same with the other garments if you and your...
Claire not been so persistent.
Inspector, whatever plot has been hatched, may I suggest an alternative strategy?
But what did you learn?
Nothing. Nothing. Everybody, as far as I can ascertain, appears to be telling the truth. I cannot see an overall pattern. Can you see a pattern, Watson?
No, I see no pattern. But I do see a woman who, despite all objective circumstances, still believes that her husband is alive. And you've said on many occasions that the impression of a woman may be more valuable. What time is it?
Dawn, considering the possibility of waking up.
I assume you have a good reason.
Are you game for the drive?
Certainly, but does it have to be this early?
I have a little theory I wish to test.
Is anyone's life at stake?
Certainly not.
Wouldn't it be possible to test your theory a little later this morning?
I'll see you downstairs in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Come on, Kitson, here to Charing Cross.
The moment you woke me up, I would have been
I've
prepared
got the key, Watson, here, in this Gladstone bag. It is a mole. But it's better to learn wisdom late than never to learn it at all. Bradstreet. Bradstreet. I've called about that beggar man, Boone.
He's in the cells, Mr. Holmes. What can I do for you?
I should very much like to see him.
He'd probably be asleep.
Most of the population is probably asleep, Holmes.
Very well, Mr. Holmes. Dr. Watson, if you come... He's a dirty scoundrel. Filthy. Refuses to wash. Says washing weakens a man's resistance.
Inspector, would you do me the great goodness of opening the door as quietly as possible? Let me introduce you to Mr. Neville St. Clair of Lee in the county of Kent.
Great heaven.
It is true. And pray, what have I been charged with?
Charged with making away with Mr. Neville.
This is the strength of 10, because my heart is pure. Alfred Lord Tennyson.
Let it be understood that I would have endured imprisonment, even execution, rather than reveal my miserable secret to my wife and children. My father was a schoolmaster in Chesterfield. I received an One day, my editor wished to have a series of articles upon begging in the piece of flesh-colored plaster. And then, with a dark wig and appropriate clothing, took my position in the busiest part of the metropolis, ostensibly as a match seller, but 26 shillings and 4 pence. I wrote my articles for the newspaper, and suddenly an idea came to me. I asked for a fortnight's holiday from a trap.
How much were you earning from the newspaper at this time?
£2 a week.
Far less than begging.
It's pertinent to say that Mr. St. Clair is no ordinary beggar.
People do not expect a beggar to quote a with him. I fell among thieves, but found honor of a sort. You see, every morning I would emerge as a squalid beggar, and every evening try once more. And then it occurred to me that there might be a search of the room, and that my clothes might betray me. So I picked up my coat, which was weighed down with the coins that I had just transferred from my leather bag, in which I carried my takings. The rest of my clothes would have followed, but at that moment, the police arrived. The rest you know.
And thus you caused your wife much anguish.
But I wrote her a letter.
And gave it to the Lascar to post.
I swear it by the most solemn oath that a man can take. Press.